Okay, let's talk about portable drilling machines. That includes portable drills, drivers, corded drills, cordless, all right? And so there's quite a few options here. And so I guess the first thing I want to mention is that you should always think about the holes, what kind of tolerances you need, and how much time you want to spend on setting up. If you can get away with just grabbing a cordless drill, putting a drill in and running and going with that, then it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to use the drill press. So for example, if you're doing a scroll saw project, you want to cut out the inside of a part, okay? You just need to drill a quick hole. Doesn't matter if it's square to the top surface or not. Use one of these portable drills. It's going to save you time. If you're driving screws, if you're doing countersinking, okay? Using a countersink bit, use these drills. And so there's really quite a bit of, a lot of applications here for that, okay? I want to talk about some different options, all right? So we have in the lab a lot of these DeWalt cordless drills. These particular ones, I don't know if you can see, but on the top, they do driving of screws, drilling, and they've got a hammering option. And so you can change between which function on the drill you want by twisting this dial here, all right? One thing that I think students seldom realize is that when you are in the drilling mode, basically you're going to get full torque out of that drill whenever you pull that trigger. When you are in screw driving mode, you have an added feature, and this is a torque adjustment or a torque setting that you can make. So depending on what type of a screw and what material you're screwing into, if you want a real light torque setting, you can turn that down to 1. And basically what that means is once you tighten that screw to a certain torque, the chuck is going to slip. All right, it will not over tighten that screw, so it prevents you stripping out the screws that way. All right, but let's say, for example, you're going to drill or drive a pocket hole into a pocket, and you're driving it into oak, which is a very hard material, has a lot more thread holding ability, and so we can turn that up to 13. And you can see that, I mean, if you get one of these and test it out, you can see that it tightens it up to a tighter torque. All right, so that's a useful function, okay? So use it. There's also these little drivers. They're like a little impact driver, and they're pretty awesome. They're fast. If there's enough torque and it needs a little extra oomph, you'll kind of feel it kind of rattle inside. And so it's applying kind of a hammering or an impact function to help drive that screw deeper. Okay, one of the things I've learned is that you've got to have an impact resistant bit when you're using this particular type of driver, because what can happen if you just have a standard one, the tips will break off. They tend to be not tough enough to withstand the impact that way. Okay. This is the same thing as the first one we talked about. Here's kind of an interesting one. This is called a right angle drill. This is used to get into places where there's not as much room to work. And so it'll fit into a tighter spot. Here's another option. This is obviously probably only used in the construction industry because this is a heavy duty hammer drill, all right? And so again, you've got a hammering on-off switch here. This one has, instead of a keyless chuck, you have a key Jacob chuck, and so you can use that right there, okay? And so these keyless chucks are nice because you don't necessarily need to use a Jacob's key. You can just break it loose with your hand, pull the bit out, put the bit in, tighten it down. You'll hear it kind of click, and just get it as tight, and you're good to go. Okay. So yeah, I don't want to spend a ton of time here. I did want to demonstrate one thing. Each of you guys are going to do a pocket hole drilling exercise. And so I've got a specialized step bit. This is a Kreg drill bit. It's got 2 different diameters. That's why we call it a step bit. You're going to use a portable drill and a jig. This is called a Kreg jig. Kreg is the company that makes it, and it's a Kreg brand pocket hole jig is what it is. And so what I did was I grabbed, this is one that you're going to want to use a 3/4 inch piece of material. I've got a piece of oak here. I'm going to insert it into the jig, and I'm going to clamp it down using that toggle clamp. And then what we'll do is turn our bit on, drill in, back it out, clean out the chips. You know, you don't have to take it all the way in one shot. And then go ahead and finish. Just you might have to go in and out, in and out, in and out a couple times just to keep those chips cleaned out. But you can see when using that Kreg jig, you can drill an angled hole at the same angle every time to an approximate depth, okay? And this is really useful when you're putting together face frames on cabinets, if you're putting together joints that don't need to be super strong. I wouldn't say the pocket hole is a super strong joint, but you know, you can do quite a bit with them. It's a nice joint. So so in a nutshell, if portable drilling, if you don't need a lot of control, then you've got several options here to choose from. And so otherwise, we have the drill press and the milling machine for drilling operations that require more precision that way, or more control. All right? So, thanks.